solved. Is it? So when you actually look at this sequence level similarity with the new information, and you see, okay, RATG13, and if I look at the full length genome similarity, it's very nice, 96%. And then for the S protein, however, you look at the similarity is only 93%. And it's 96% mostly because all of the other proteins have a much higher similarity, and this one has a lower similarity. And of course, if you look at the SARS, it's a lot lower, and other beta coronavirus at the full length protein level, and it's also lower. So does it mean that this article just concluded that maybe this RATG13, which were found in bats in Yunnan province, which is actually more than 1,000 miles of distance from Wuhan, could be the original source. But many people, myself included, don't believe this is the true answer. And then there's another paper published just a month ago that says pangolin actually is the answer, is the intermediate host. Probably some pangolin got bitten by bats and then run around and got collected in Wuhan seafood market. And the reason was when people were isolating the virus strain, the beta coronavirus, they found 98 to 99% similarity, which is higher than the 96% similarity. However, when you actually look at this newer paper that tried to cluster, actually tried to do phylogenetic tree analysis. And this is the pangolin from Guangxi province, which is very close to Guangdong province or Shenzhen or Hong Kong. And this is the one from Guangdong province. And they're still quite far away from the bad coronavirus that was originally isolated from the bat. So if the bat is already so close to the new coronavirus, how can they actually be more distant from this pangolin's virus found in the pangolin? Right, so by using really the classical phylogenetic tree analysis, you can almost conclude that that cannot be possibly the host. That probably is maybe sharing some ancestor together with the RATG13, but RATG13 certainly is closer to what Wuhan is seeing. And then there's some other evidence, and I'm not going to say it, but essentially that says that this new virus is actually as different from these pangolins in the conserved amino acid residues as possible. So that also shows the dilemma. We said that the virus can mutate quite fast around the receptor binding site, and the receptor binding site probably should be the molecular clock that help you to do the classification. But I think that this puzzle is still being solved, and people are still actively looking for other animal hosts. However, the problem is more difficult because Chinese government already shut down the seafood market, cleaned out everything, and it's almost impossible to go back and find other animals unless you're really lucky to find some rats in the guts. But I don't know how many people have the capacity to isolate the virus in the P3 or P4 lab and then do sequence analysis. And then there's another question. So the other question is, as more and more sequences are becoming available from patients, in this particular example published 2 weeks ago, sequences deposited into the database that they analyze. So you can start asking the question, can you actually backtrack and find patient 0? And if you can find the patient 0 or infer the haplotype of patient 0, maybe you will be able to unlock the answer where this virus may have come from whenever you have other animal species in the sequence. And this is actually an interesting study. So they look at the H1, which is actually the circled ones. Circle ones certainly are coming from the market. And then there's this triangle one that's H3, the patient number 3, that has no history of visiting the market. And then they also have a few of the haplotype carried over in later patients. And then you also have this green that seem to be fairly unique, and then all of the other haplotypes.
So the y-axis is the number of people with that haplotype?
The y-axis is the unique haplotype. So yeah, so there are 60, up to 60 haplotypes. And here is the statistics of the amino acid synonymous and non-synonymous substitution that cause the amino acid changes. So you can use this data to actually estimate what is the actual rate of evolution within this, but it's pretty much consistent. Yes?
So the arrangement, the vertical arrangement of the haplotypes, is that just numeric based on the first observation, or is it actually related on the similarity of the haplotypes on a genetic basis?
I think this is actually sorted according to the date. So the date of the haplotype's first occurrence, and it's probably sorted at the lower number on the y-axis. But maybe this is not the case. I think that you can pretty much they do have some implied order, but I didn't read this paper carefully enough to know exactly what. But this is the data that they're dealing with. And then if you actually try to build a minimal parsimonious tree that explains how the different patients' haplotypes are related to each other, then you can pretty much say, well, H13 is a hop, H3 is a hop, H1 is a hop. Remember, H1 is a hop that comes from the seafood market. At the very beginning, people are saying, oh, seafood market is really the source. So that's considered as group A. Originally, that a lot of people were thinking that seafood market is the source, and then it affected the H3, and then also affected H1. Actually, this is H1 and this is H13. But according to this new study, this is, remember, this is about RATG13. And RATG13, they infer that through some hidden nodes that we haven't seen yet, is directly connected to patient 38 and patient 3. And so it couldn't actually possibly evolve from the seafood market. Instead, the paper hypothesized that someone, patient 0, is actually someone who has never been to the seafood market. And through some connection, it brought the virus to the seafood market. And then the seafood market become a major source, and these become the dead end. So certainly this is a paper that is still not in print. This is in the China archive, but this is a very important piece of literature because I remember seeing the news that actually reported, the news reporter said in China that the patient 0 seemed to be a person paralyzed in bed. So could it be possible that there were some rodents or pets that carried that and somehow carried it all the way to seafood market? I don't know, but that's something really interesting thinking about. All right. going to go to the next section. So I'm severely underestimating my time to explain these complex subjects. So what should I do?